Hey guys, Petty Officer Glover here from Nuking It Out. Here today with a reaction video to a video I recently found on YouTube called Why Living on a Submarine Sucks. It was created by the Infographic show. It's a very popular YouTube series that goes over different things. So I'm going to take a look at it, let you guys know what's right, what's wrong, and what's just plain crazy.
With 72 submarines in service, the United States fields the largest underwater fighting force in the world. Stealthy and absolutely deadly against surface vessels, submarines are tasked with deterring foreign aggression, nuclear deterrence, intelligence gathering, and even providing fire support for land forces with land attack missiles. But for the most of a submarine's lifespan, it will glide through the oceans of the world completely undetected, and as they say, out of sight, out of mind. What is life like under the sea for those who man these secretive weapons of war, though? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Infographic Show. Today we're taking a look at what life is like aboard a submarine.
All right, I like it. It's a good start. Really kind of covers what we do on submarines. So this is looking good.
Every man can be a submariner, and though it is a 100% all-volunteer force, the U.S. Navy submarine fleet has very stringent entry requirements. Individuals must be male.
That didn't take long now, did it? So women have been allowed on submarines since 2011. So this video was made, I know, late 2018, early 2019. So they should know better by that point. That's pretty open knowledge that women are allowed on submarines now. So if you're a woman and you want to be on a submarine, don't believe this video, you totally can be.
Pass a series of academic tests, psychological evaluations, and intensive courses on the fundamentals of submarine operations.
So the academic testing, that's the ASVAB. Now, here's what's kind of interesting with being on a submarine is that you need a higher ASVAB score for the same job if you're going to go submarines. So, for example, if you want to be a logistics specialist on a submarine, so supply chain management, you actually need a higher score to serve on a submarine than you would to serve in the surface Navy. The submarine operations courses that's best, the basic enlisted submarine school, that's up in Groton, Connecticut. And that school is for everybody that's not a nuke that's going to go on a submarine actually goes there. What's kind of interesting about it is that if you cross deck, so you go from a surface ship to a submarine, you're still required to go to BESS. So even guys who might be second classes or even first classes, if they're going to their first submarine, they go through BESS the same way that the brand new sailors do.
Isn't a life for everyone who applies. Technically, the U.S. deploys submarines for about 90 days at a time, but the realities of a dynamic geopolitical environment sometimes means that submariners will be out at sea for 100 days or more, pulling into port only long enough to stock up on food reserves before putting out to sea again. One submariner interviewed by Task and Purpose said that his longest deployment was for 328 days. That's a long time spent inside a cramped metal tube underwater.
Now, mathematically, you spend about 60% of your year in port, but in a deployment year, your total in and out time can really go up to spend a lot of time out to sea because you don't just wake up one day and go on deployment. Going on deployment is the end result of months of preparation. So, especially before, right before deployment, you'll go out for a couple of weeks, you'll come in for a couple of weeks to fix stuff, upgrade stuff, and then you'll do that multiple times. So that's where going out to sea a lot can kind of catch up with you. That being said, you're not going to go out to sea and sit underwater for 300 days.
The submarine's crew is split up into 3 6-hour shifts each. Typically, a crew member will have 6 hours on duty, 6 hours of study, exercise, and private time, and 6 hours of sleeping time.
This is another one of those things where this hasn't been true for multiple years. We work on an 8 and 16, not a 6 and 12 schedule. We haven't worked on the 6 and 12 since 2013 or so. I love the 8 and 16s. I have lived both. And the 8 and 16 is actually very comfortable because even though you're technically working for a couple more hours, you get that straight 8 hours of sleep.
Every submariner has typically about 15 square feet to themselves and sleep in tiny bunks, affectionately or not called coffins. Inside,
So a rack and a coffin rack are two different things. A rack is just your bed. And a coffin rack is a rack where part of the bed is blocked off by something like a partition or a locker or something, and those are actually the best racks. They insulate you from any noise, they insulate you from any light. So if you manage to get your hands on a coffin rack, you will want that rack for the entire time you're on the ship. I got one on my second boat about a year into being there, and I literally kept that rack for 3 years straight.
Some submariners, however, have more crew than bunk space, which leads to the much-hated practice of hot bunking, where 2 or more submariners share one bunk. As one prepares to start their shift, the other takes his place to get his 6 hours of sleep.
So hot racking isn't 2 in 1, it's 3 people to 2 racks, and you're not sharing linens, right? It's not like you picture where just one guy gets out of bed and the other guy goes right into it. You have your own sheets, you have your own blankets, your own pillowcases. So you're just sharing the mattress really, and you're sharing some of your storage space. I hot racked, a lot of people hot rack. It's not as weird as you would expect it to be.
There's typically only 2 showers for the entire crew of up to 130 submariners.
No. Maybe during World War II, but modern submarines, we have a half dozen showers. Um, you have one for the captain and the XO, you have one for the officers, you have one for the chiefs, and then you have 3 more for everybody else. And so that's about 3 showers for 100 people, not 2 showers for 130.
And a maximum showering time of 3 to 5 minutes is enforced. This not only helps ensure everyone who needs one can get a shower, but it also lessens the strain on the ship's water filtration system, which turns salty seawater into fresh water.
That part actually is true. We do what are called submarine showers, where you turn on the water, you get yourself rinsed down, you turn off the water, you lather up. That's where that really, those really fancy 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, body washes come in handy. And then once you're all lathered up, you go ahead and you wash it off and you turn it off. If you decide that you're going to take that shower for a little bit longer than you should, the guys outside the shower will actually turn off the hot water on you.
Also, typically only a single dryer and washer aboard a submarine, making clean laundry a luxury.
Clean laundry is not a luxury, it's a requirement. There is only one washer and dryer, however, you are required to do your laundry.
For entertainment, there is a tiny gym with typically 1 to 2 machines and free weights which the crew can use. Because space is at such a premium, rooms typically have double uses, and the gym may in fact be the torpedo room. The officer's wardroom, where senior officers dine, also serves as an operating theater during medical emergencies.
That's actually true. I'm kind of surprised they got that one right. So every single space in a submarine is used for multiple purposes. Even the CO's stateroom, right, his personal area, that is actually used as DC Central, as damage control central during a casualty.
Bathrooms are extremely limited as well, with typically only 1 bathroom per 40 men. And you'd better know how to use the toilet, because waste has to be held in a special tank to be ejected at the appropriate time. The toilet has to be pressurized before you flush it, but operate it improperly and it will shoot its contents backwards into your face.
Okay, this is another thing that was a World War II thing. There's a really famous story about a German submarine, I think it was, that sank because somebody operated the toilet incorrectly. But the idea that you have to pressurize a toilet, just that doesn't make any sense.
The rec room typically offers a plasma TV or 2 and a large selection of movies to keep the crew entertained. Video game systems are common, along with a small library of games, though the Navy makes cards and board games freely available to help sailors blow off steam and build camaraderie.
This part is definitely true. We do have video game systems, and then any multiplayer game is super popular. So I know I'm going to date myself with this one, but Halo 2, Halo 3 were super popular games on my first ship. Any of the Madden games, any fighting games are super popular. And then for cards, every submariner needs to know how to play spades. Every submariner needs to know how to play cribbage. If you can play those 2 games, you will be set on a submarine.
The kitchen takes up the second most amount of space and is typically extremely well stocked. The U.S. Navy knowing for decades that a well-fed crew is a happy crew. Life beneath the waves for weeks or even months at a time can be extremely stressful, and so the Navy makes sure its galleys are well stocked.
So this is definitely true. We definitely have some of the best food in the Navy. Um, but what's kind of funny about it, and you don't really think about, is that not all the food is stored in the galley itself. We will put food anywhere that we can find space, to the point that we'll be walking on food sometimes. The big 5 pound cans of like corn or green beans or something. We'll stack them on the deck, put plywood on top of them so people can walk on top of that, and that's how we bring so much food underway.
There is no internet aboard a submarine, and communication with the outside world is reserved for the rare instances that a sub surfaces. Because initiating communications can give away a sub's position, and stealth is the most valuable asset, submariners don't communicate much with the outside world. That means
Not exactly. So we don't normally have internet. That is true. However, we do communicate with our family periodically. We do have an email system.
to make the cramped environment more tolerable for each other, submariners have additional unwritten rules, such as no talk of politics on board, although sports trash talk is acceptable if not encouraged.
Submariners can and will talk about anything up to and including politics. So this idea that there's this unwritten rule is definitely not true.
While all of the military branches are keen on traditions and rites of passage, none are as dedicated to their traditions or have as nuanced rites of passage as the Navy. Partly tradition and partly to help keep morale up, submariners enjoy a tradition of initiating new crew members on their first crossing of the equator, called crossing the line. Everyone who has already crossed the line is known as a shellback, and those who haven't are known as wogs, shorthand for polywogs.
Crossing the line is definitely a thing. It's not limited to submarines. Every navy in the world does this.
The polywogs must polish a set of red trash weights used to compact trash and then wear them around their necks for a week before the crossing. Wogs are also given an M&M, which they must keep and defend as their pearl, ensuring that it stays on their person at all times.
I'm a shellback. I'm very proud of that, and I've never heard of this wearing TDU weights around your neck. I can't think of anybody that would ever actually allow that to happen, and the reason why is really simple. Those weights are 8 pounds apiece, so the idea of walking around with 16 pounds around your neck, one, sounds painful, but more importantly than that, if you have a casualty, if somebody trips or something, you're going to cause a noise transient, you're going to hurt yourself. So I can't actually picture anybody doing that.
Upon crossing the equator, the shellbacks spray the wogs with water hoses and dunk them in cold water, which may or may not have been urinated in.
That's disgusting. When you do crossing the line ceremonies, those festivities are supervised by the cob and the captain, and the idea that somebody would do that is absolutely disgusting. It wouldn't happen, and more than that, it would probably get the event shut down.
Seamen are a strange sort. Then they're escorted to the wardroom, where the fattest submariner on board has been dressed in a baby's diaper and covered in whipped cream, vinegar, mayonnaise, pretty much every condiment available. And then the wog must place their pearl inside his belly button and retrieve it back with their mouth. From that day on, the wog is no more and is welcomed as a full-blown shellback. Because of the high stress of their jobs, submariners are often excused somewhat from the Navy's typical strict regulations on hair and facial hair, allowing short beards and longer than usual hair for the notoriously tightly clipped U.S. Armed Forces.
So this is another one of those things. This is only true in very specific circumstances. You can grow a beard on deployment if MWR does what are called no shave chits. No shave chits lets you not shave. You pay for that privilege, and it's kind of a fun thing to do. Some people grow great beards. Some people, like myself, we do not. I do not grow a beard. I grow little patches of beard, but it's a fun thing to do, but it's not a regular occurrence on board a submarine.
Life aboard a submarine is tough, a unique mental and physical challenge that not every sailor is cut out for, yet has been argued repeatedly by defense analysts across the U.S. The U.S. Navy's silent service is the most critical element of its national security, from maintaining nuclear deterrence to ensuring the good behavior of not-so-friendly nations by threatening swift and overwhelming retaliation. Submariners are the world's ultimate, if secretive, peacekeepers.
All right, so that last part definitely true. Not every sailor can be a submariner, but those of us who do it, we are very proud of what we do. All right, so that was why living on a submarine sucks, according to the infographic show. Gotta say, I wasn't really impressed. There was a lot of out of date information, a lot of just flat out wrong information, and and what was ever left kind of needed some context. So, you know, it's a good overview, brought back some good memories for me, but at the same time, if you're looking to know more about submarines, this is not really the video to do it with. The best way, obviously, to learn about submarines is to talk to a submariner. If you don't know a submariner, talk to your local Navy recruiter. If they're not a submariner themselves, they probably know one nearby. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below on what movie, TV show, YouTube video I should cover next for accuracy with submarines. And follow me on Instagram at EMN1_Glover. This has been EMN1 Glover with Nuking It Out. Thanks, guys.